Asha from Nextwork here. It is so good to be back and to be doing another project with you live today. Oh my goodness, today's topic is super fun. It is about VPC monitoring with flow logs. Now, if you haven't done a networking project with us today, with us yet, I totally recommend that you check out maybe our beginner level networking project, which is part 1 of the series. Today, we're actually doing project 7 in an entire networking series. So if you're here as someone that's already done projects 1 to 6, oh my gosh, look at you go. We're at project 7 now. If you're here as someone that's never done a networking project with us before and you're here to check it out, just feel the vibe. Welcome. I hope you have lots of fun here today. It is just so good to have you here. Now, as usual, the setup today is the AWS Management Console on the left-hand side of the screen, and as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we have the step-by-step guide for today's project. So, the AWS Management Console, please log in as your IAM admin user instead of the root user of your AWS account. If you're very new to this term, you're not too sure what an IAM admin user is yet, you can check out the link in the description box below to learn what that means and how you can set one up. And, oh yeah, if this is your first time doing a project with Nextwork and you don't know where to find the link to the step-by-step guide over here, check out the link in the description box as well. It is the very, very first link in the description box. That's how you can find this project guide right here. Okay. I am super, super excited to be doing VPC monitoring with flow logs. The tagline is, who knew VPCs could write diaries too? That truly is a topic when you're talking about flow logs. And yeah, introducing flow logs to you today. Lovely seeing everyone in the chat as well. A big shout out to everyone. A big shout out to Abdul Rahman. Hello, hello, back to you. Dari says, quote of the day, super cool by Amber. Yes, Dari. For context for everyone that's new to this, super cool is our CEO Amber's favorite phrase. Vincenzo says, ciao. Hi. Is it Vincenzo or is it Vincenzo? I'd love to know. Sumit says, hello, Nat. Hey, Sumit. Truls says, hi, everyone. Wow, Truls, very good to see you here again today. I still remember we got to do the last project together last week. So to be here with you again is a blessing. Thank you so much, Truls, for being here. Sridhar says, hi, am I not too late? Absolutely not. We've barely started, Sridhar. So good to have you here. We also have Joe asking, what if I'm here just for the vibes and nothing else? We have a special place for you, Joe. Every single week, it's been so much fun to have you hanging out in the lives. I honestly think you are absolutely a mood maker, a vibe creator. So thanks so much for being here. Good evening, Nat, and everyone in the chat. Thanks, Joe. Akil says, hello there. Hi, Akil. Wow, very, very cool to have you here. It's been a joy seeing you continue up your amazing streak of projects, by the way, in the community. We're all so impressed. We're all so stunned by the amount of progress you're making, Akil. Jerome says, hello. Hi, Jerome. Very, very good to have you here again. Vincenzo's from Italy. My goodness, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So awesome to know that the Next community is all around the world. I actually get to visit Italy very, very soon myself in 2 weeks. So that's just awesome. Joe is giving me some advice on how to pronounce. It's pronounced Vincenzo with A. Vincenzo? Is that the best way to say it? Vincenzo says exactly. So, ooh, Joe, you're a pro. Hey, Fubaras in the chat says, hey, hello, Nat. Thank you. GBK says, woo woo, let's go. You know what? On that note, thank you so much, GBK. Let us get started. And hi, Ajit from India saying hi. This is super cool. Okay, let us get started now. So, shall we always get started with an introduction to the project? I think so. Let us talk about the 30-second summary for today's project, because we are going to be spicing things up with our VPC in this project today. All right. So the difficulty level upped a little bit in the last project. In the last project, we talked about VPC peering when we had two VPCs and we wanted to get them to talk to each other. Before then, we also learned about connectivity tests, sending ping messages. We learned about launching EC2 instances in a public and private subnet. We also learn how to create the foundations that your VPC in seconds. All of that has been amazing progress, and we're gonna up the difficulty level again a little bit more today, because we're gonna add monitoring to our VPC. So what we're gonna do in this project is we're gonna do exactly what we've done in the previous project with VPC peering, but we're going to add on monitoring as well. So a lot of learnings to come with monitoring. Hope you enjoy these learnings. I'm very excited. So you might be new to the concept of network monitoring. So if this is your first time kind of learning about the concept network monitoring, monitoring is specifically network monitoring is how engineers keep track of their network's traffic and analyze that traffic too. So for example, network monitoring would include checking the source of traffic coming into your VPC. For example, there's so much traffic, let's say, going into your VPC through the internet gateways, entering your subnets, and you want to know, where's all this traffic coming from? Who are all these people trying to visit my resource? Network monitoring helps to answer that question. What's something else? You can also analyze how much data is being transferred in your network. That also falls under network monitoring. So say you've set up your network, it's functional, data is being transferred, data is going in and out of your VPC, in and out of your subnets. Maybe data is even being passed from instance 1 all the way to instance 2, between your two VPCs, and you want to know, how much data is actually being transferred? Are we just transferring small little text files? Are we transferring huge video files? Are we transferring entire movies through our network? If you want to know, you can find out through network monitoring. And what's another example of network monitoring? Network monitoring is also like identifying traffic that's being blocked by your security settings. So let's say you've had your VPC up and running for a little while now, and you're starting to wonder, what kind of traffic is my security group blocking? What kind of traffic is my network ACL not letting through? It's a really great idea to analyze what kind of traffic has been blocked so you get a good sense of what kind of traffic has been trying to access your network and have been turned away. Potentially these could be like potential threats that you pick up, or you might even find out, oh, that traffic's been blocked this whole time. Oh, actually, it's okay to let it in. We actually want that traffic inside our VPC or inside our subnet. So it's a great idea to monitor, keep track, just know what's really happening with your network. If you are still thinking, why is this thing important? Don't forget why a network exists in the first place. Because at the end of the day, a network is here to, one, let our resources in our network talk to each other, and also let those resources talk to resources outside our VPC. 2, networks also exist to make sure that kind of communication, our resources inside the VPC talking to each other, our resources talking to the resources outside of our VPC, for example, in the public internet, we want to make sure that communication is as secure as possible. So that's why networks and networking setups exist. And that's why monitoring is so important as well. Engineers and network administrators, you need to monitor, you need to actually track the performance of your network to figure out whether or not your network is doing its job, whether or not it's doing these 2 points well. If you're not monitoring it, you're probably not managing it or really keeping track of it and really making sure that the network is doing well. So let's kick things off today and do an introductory project on network monitoring by adding some tracking tools to our VPC setup. This is a lot of fun, and it also comes with 2 new characters. Okay, we've been working with an iconic set of services so far. We've worked with VPC mainly. We've also worked with EC2 instances, and now we're going to add 2 more services. and let's get to know them. One is called VPC Flow Logs, and VPC Flow Logs just sits inside your VPC console, so you don't need to travel too far to find them. But there's another one that is a bit newer called Amazon CloudWatch. And Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring service provided by AWS, and you get to be very good friends with CloudWatch in this project too. Okay, so in the meantime, we have Jonah say, I haven't gotten started with my training yet. That's totally okay. We all have to start somewhere. If you've never done a project before, we'd highly recommend checking out the very first project, which is to host a static website with S3. You can find the link to that in the description box. Sam Wasima says hi from the UK. Hey, so cool. Hey, Sam. This is so cool. Where in the UK are you based? Awesome to have you here, man. Dari says, on my way to Italy. Bro, that's very, very cool. Let's meet up in Italy. Vin says, let's do this. Yes, Vin, let us do this. Akil says, I just completed Project 8 and posted it before joining here. Congratulations, Akil. That's another project done. Whew, look at you go. Watch says, humor. Very nice. I'm guessing that's how you're feeling for today. And Kurtish says, did it start? Can't see it. Oh, yeah, we absolutely have started. Kurtish, I hope you can actually. Do you mean you can't see the project guide? If you can't see it, the link to the description, the link to the project guide is in the description box. But yeah, Jonah says, can you do a live on Amazon CloudWatch? Yeah, we absolutely will do that in the future. CloudWatch is an iconic monitoring service. In the meantime, you are actually going to be using CloudWatch in today's project, and you'll be learning about it from scratch as well. So there's no experience expected with CloudWatch, so you can absolutely start from scratch. Yeah, Jonah says, thank you from Sweden. Yeah, it's so cool. And Vin says, I am from the UK too. Wow, where in the UK are you based, Vin? This is very exciting stuff. Okay, without further ado, we're going to get ready to set up our 2 VPCs and test their peering connection in today's project. And then we're going to use monitoring for parts 2 and 3 in this bullet point list. Part 2, set up VPC flow logs. That's one of the new services, so that we can collect data on our network traffic. And then the third part is we're also going to analyze that network traffic. So we're going to collect the data, and then we're going to analyze the data that we create using CloudWatch's log insights. Woo! Lots of cool things coming up. I'm feeling excited. I think this is going to be fun. And let's get started. So we are going to be following the high-touch version of this project today, which means that you're going to get step-by-step instructions for every single part. But if you prefer doing a little bit of a challenge and trying things on your own without the same level of guidance, maybe something a little bit more chill, a bit more toned back, and you get to figure a few of those steps by yourself if you want to do something like that, we recommend clicking on option 1, which is low touch. Okay. For high touch, what are we here to do today? Do we remember what this project is going to be about? My challenge for you today is whenever you see one of these questions, it'd be awesome to know how you'd respond to them. You can share that answer in the chat box, or if you'd like, do this project with me and enter your answers alongside me. That would be awesome too. Okay, what are we here to do today? In this project, we will set up network monitoring we will set up network monitoring using VPC flow logs and Amazon CloudWatch. Oops. And Amazon CloudWatch. Network monitoring involves tracking the performance and security of my VPC's traffic. So that's perfect. Alrighty, click done. First task complete. How good is that? It feels good to complete a task. And if you want documentation for your project, make sure you complete all of the tasks in our project guide so that you can get access. So make sure you complete all the tasks, make sure all of them look nice and green, so that on the other side, you will get to see awesome documentation get generated based off of your answers, based off of your screenshots, all formatted nicely in one document for you. Cool. Now, let's do step 1. Ooh, let's do it. Step 1, we're going to set up our VPC in minutes. We've learned how to use the VPC wizard from our previous projects to set up two VPCs in minutes, and we're going to do that again in today's project. You can absolutely set up monitoring, by the way. I know this project topic is monitoring, so let's talk about monitoring every single step. You can absolutely still set up monitoring for architectures with just a single VPC. You don't need to have two VPCs in order to monitor your network. But the reason why we're setting up two VPCs today is so that we can revise some learnings from the previous project on VPC peering. Because VPC peering in itself is a mission. It is a big topic to learn. So absolutely repetition and doing it one more time and revising that learning is really going to help with putting those learnings in our long-term memory. Okay, so that's why step 1, we're going to start off easy breezy, lemon squeezy with setting up this VPC from scratch. Two VPCs from scratch, actually. So in this step, we will set up two VPCs from scratch in minutes. Network monitoring can still be done with just a single VPC, but it's great to have the extra challenge and tackle VPC peering in this project too. Chef's kiss, that was amazing. And yeah, very, very soon, you'll be able to edit your answers. That feature is coming soon, and there's also going to be some cool stuff with Pro very, very soon as well. So that was great. We have just talked about what we're going to do in this step, so let's do it. To set up those VPCs in seconds, all you have to do is access your AWS Management Console. Again, make sure you're logged into your IAM admin user. And then we are going to search for VPC in the top search bar. So we're going to type in VPC like this. And then we're going to visit our VPC console and select your VPCs. Now, if you have created a VPC with the console multiple times before, let us do a challenge, you versus me right now. Who can set up this VPC? There are two VPCs faster. Let's see who can get it done. And in the meantime, yeah, big shout out to everyone in the chat. Joe saying it's so amazing to see how big this community is growing. Yeah, going global. I feel like a proud relative. Joe, you are. You are. Vin is in London. Amazing. That's really cool. That's really cool. We're in opposite parts of the world, but we're all in the same room right now. That's awesome. Tamuno says, hi, Natasha. Great work. Good to be here. Thank you. Thank you, Tamuno. It is great to have you here as well. And Murat says, hello, I am here. Thanks, Murat. I always love it when you say, hello, I'm here. Exciting to be doing a project with you. Cool. Now, for name tag auto generation, we're going to keep things nice and simple and just use Network1. And then for the IPv4 CIDR block, we're going to make that update and change that to 10.1.0.0/16. And if you're still wondering, why are we changing this? It's purely for easy readability and remembering, because if our VPC1 is going to be called Network1, ideally we can have this one repeated in the CIDR block as well. So it's easier for us to remember what is the CIDR block for our first VPC. That's purely it. If you want to keep it to 10.0.0.0/16, that's totally okay too. All right, we're keeping these options here, and then for the number of availability zones, let's keep things simple again by choosing just one availability zone. And look at this. Okay, we have our flow map on the side. The moment I pick just one availability zone, look at the map updating, just like that. And then look at this updating one more time. Once I select that, I only need a public subnet, and we don't need any private subnets. Wow, look at this. So this is going to be the VPC setup for the VPC that's going to be like generated for us once we finish this setup flow. So look at this. We're going to be creating a VPC. We're setting up the public subnet. We're setting up a public route table for the subnet. And then there's also an internet gateway that is connected with our route table. So our route table is going to offer our public subnet a route to an internet gateway. Perfect. Which means that resources in our public subnet will be able to access the internet. And, well, most likely accessible by the internet as well, provided that all of the other setup requirements have all been done as well. Okay, with that done, shall we make sure that we click none for S3 gateway, because we don't need anything, we don't need any VPC endpoints in this project today, and we definitely don't need any NAT gateways. Keep this as none, because choosing any NAT gateways will result in a charge to AWS account. So we want to make sure this is none. We want to make sure VPC endpoints is none, and then you can click create VPC right away after that. Whew. Just like that. Okay, now if there were a few options that you felt like you'd like a longer explanation for, maybe you felt like it was a bit fast, please check out the previous projects in this series, which is where we pretty much break down every single step in a lot more detail. We will be going through the steps a little bit faster than usual up until step 3, which is when we do something new, when we're starting to set up flow logs. Cool. Now that that's done, let us set up our second VPC, right? And you can challenge yourself. Are you going to take the challenge? Do you think you can set up your second VPC without any guidance? So your second VPC has the exact same settings, just except their name and the IPv4 CIDR block. So let's set that up. So we're going to click on your VPCs, create another VPC, make sure it's a VPC and more that we're clicking here. And then again, for the name tag auto generation, this time it's going to be Nextwork 2. And then for the CIDR block, 10.2.0.0/16. We're going to make sure it's just one availability zone with one public subnet, but 0 private subnets. Now that's perfect. No NAT gateways, please. No S3 gateways, please. I think we're quite happy with the setup, aren't we? Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Truly, the moment you get comfortable with the setup flow, look at how fast that was. We literally just set up an entire VPC with all of its components, literally in seconds. I feel like that was in seconds, not even a minute. Although anyone is more than welcome to fact check me on that. Okay. Joe comments, I don't remember how to set up my first VPC. No way! We're gonna send you back to checking out the first project in that series, Joe. We're gonna need to set up our foundations straight and learn how to set up VPCs. That's so much fun. And I think it's why it is truly a blessing in disguise that a lot of these projects ask us to repeat steps from the previous projects as well. Because repetition truly is, and doing things truly are just amazing combos, iconic duos when it comes to learning things. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And yeah, let's take a screenshot of VPC2's resource map. So you can see this resource map has been set up for us the moment our second VPC has finished creating. So shall we take a screenshot of this and mark this step as done? Okay, so let's take a screenshot. I'm gonna take a screenshot like this. I think that's pretty nice. Nice, that looks good. And let's chuck that screenshot into our step-by-step guide, and then just literally drag and drop it straight into this little task box. Nice, it's uploaded now, so we can hit the next button and answer a few questions. What did you launch in this step? Do you remember? How many subnets did you create? So we're gonna give it a little response. I started my project by launching. Yes, we started. Since we're all doing this project together, it really is a we thing, not an I thing. We started our project by launching. Do you remember? We launched 2 VPCs. We created 2 public subnets, i.e. 1 public subnet in each VPC with no private subnets. All right. Next one. Why are the IPv4 CIDR blocks for VPCs 1 and 2 unique? Did you notice that? Did you notice that when we set up VPC 2, we made sure that its IPv4 CIDR was 10.2.0.0/16? Do you remember the VPC1's IPv4 CIDR block? It was 10.1.0.0. So do you see the difference there? And this question is asking, why are they different? Now, we talked about the reason for this in the previous project, VPC peering. But if you're thinking, ooh, I need a bit of a refresher on this, totally fair. Let us answer this question together. Wow, big shout out to Karthik in the chat, by the way. Karthik is from California, USA. My goodness. What time is it over there in California? I feel like it must be very late at night. And Joe says, no, please don't send me back. I remember how to set up a VPC, honest. Okay, the CIDR blocks for VPCs 1 and 2 are 10.1.0.0/16 and 10.2.0.0/16, respectively. Okay, so they have to be unique because having overlapping CIDR blocks will cause network routing or traffic issues down the line when traffic is needing to go from one VPC to another. Yes, that looks good. And that's completely true. The reason why we needed to make sure that these two VPCs have completely different CIDR blocks is because the moment they have the exact same CIDR block, or the moment they have any overlap in their CIDR blocks, that is kind of like saying two cities have a section of their city or the entire city with exactly the same street addresses and exactly the same postcodes. And that's going to be very, very confusing for any traffic trying to get directions to somewhere. Imagine if there's a piece of traffic that is coming from a third country that's outside of Network 1 VPC and Network 2 VPC, a third country, and you tell that country, hey, by the way, can you please visit this specific address? And that third country will go, okay, yeah, sure, I can go. But it's going to get a little confusing if it can't tell whether that address belongs to Network 1 VPC or Network 2 VPC. Now, a great thing is the fact that VPCs are already isolated from each other means that actually in most of the time, external traffic doesn't get confused when they see an address, because the fact that VPCs are completely independent of each other, separate from each other, provides enough isolation for a piece of traffic to look at an address and be able to tell if it's coming from, one VPC or another. But it becomes a problem for route tables. And the reason for that is when you are creating a route in your route table, you have to define the address or the destination inside the route table using the IPv4 CIDR or using the specific IP address. And when you're using route tables, you're not able to define exactly which VPC that IP address belongs to. So that means in a route table, it will get extremely confused if you have two addresses that actually belong to separate VPCs, but they just look exactly the same within the route table, since in a route table, you can't actually define exactly which VPC a specific IP address belongs to. So it's going to have like overlapping IP addresses, and then your route table, which is kind of like literally the GPS or the direction controller, the traffic controller of your city, will be like, am I supposed to send you to this one or this one? This one or this one? This one or this one? If your VPCs start to have overlapping IP addresses or overlapping addresses. So I hope that's clear. And we shall move on. But if you're feeling confused about that, add a comment in the chat, or you can also check out our previous project, VPC peering, where we talk about this for the first time. Okay, so let us submit that answer. We're quite happy with that. We're going to click done. And step 2 is when we're going to launch our EC2 instances. So now it's time to launch instances into this architecture and create EC2 instances. Why are we creating EC2 instances? It's a very good question to ask. And the answer for that is the fact that we are going to later use these EC2 instances to talk to each other. Okay, they're going to start communicating, these two instances. And they're going to need to communicate because, don't forget, what is this project topic about? Monitoring. Yes, we want to monitor traffic when we install network traffic monitoring tools. So if we don't have any VPCs in this specific architecture, we won't have any network traffic to track. So truly, you can think of this step as setting up some foundations so that we can make these EC2 instances to talk to each other, and then the communication between them will be the network traffic that we are tracking later on in this project. Cool. So in this step, we launch two VPCs. Two EC2 instances, one in each VPC. Doing this is important to set up the remainder of our project. Our EC2 instances will generate traffic that VPC flow logs will monitor. Cool. Oh. Oh. Okay, so let's read out that answer one more time. In this step, we launch two EC2 instances, one in each VPC. Do you see? We have one instance here, we have another instance right over here. Doing this is important to set up the remainder of this project. Our EC2 instances will generate the traffic that VPC flow logs will monitor. Otherwise, there's no traffic for us to monitor, and it'll be very hard for us to really see our monitoring tools in action. Very nice. So you must be very familiar by now if you've done the previous projects on how to launch an instance into a VPC. So again, if you'd like to try this out on your own, I'd highly recommend. You can pause this video, you can stop your project guide somewhere like here and see whether you can do it on your own. Otherwise, let's do it step by step together. So let's head to the EC2 console. We're going to type in EC2 right at the top here. And then we're going to click into this. And then we're going to select instances from the left-hand navigation bar right here and select launch instances. Correct, we're about to launch an instance now, and we're going to call our instance a very, very straightforward name. It's just instance dash Network VPC 1. Okay, and then we're going to select the Amazon machine image, make sure it is a free tier eligible one, and then we're going to also make sure we're selecting a free tier eligible instance type. Okay, like this. And then for the key pair, do you remember whether or not we need a key pair? So the answer to that is no. We don't need a key pair. Usually if we're about to directly access an EC2 instance, we would need a key pair. But the tool that we're using to directly access our EC2 instance later in this project is called EC2 Instance Connect, and it is an amazing service that takes care of creating the key pair and managing the key pair. It does it for us. So we don't need to do it ourselves. We don't even need to create key pairs anymore. EC2 Instance Connect will be doing that for us. And let's make sure we're editing our network settings so that this EC2 instance is being launched into Network 1 VPC. Cool. And do you remember if it needs a public IP address? Do you remember? So the answer is yes, we do need to. We need to select enable over here. And the reason for that is because EC2 Instance Connect, which is the tool that we're using to directly access our EC2 instance, that is connecting to our instance over the public internet. And if your EC2 instance doesn't have a public IP, it means that anything that's trying to connect to your instance over the public internet can't find you anymore. You need a public IP address to be accessible to the internet. So if we had chosen disable, that means EC2 Instance Connect would have had a lot of trouble trying to find your EC2 instance and connecting to it. But we are clicking enable now so that we can avoid that problem later down the line. And of course, security groups are always a must, and we are going to be choosing create security group in this project. In the last project, you chose to use the default security group in your Amazon VPC, so you probably chose something like this. But you might remember that caused a few issues again later down the line, because the default security group in your VPC doesn't allow some very important kinds of traffic that we use later in this project. So one being SSH, which is the secure shell protocol, or the secure shell type of traffic, and EC2 Instance Connect uses that to connect to your EC2 instance. And another type of traffic, type of traffic that your security group doesn't allow by default, we also later use to do our connectivity tests. So there are just so many things that we need our security group to have that the default security group in your VPC doesn't provide, that we're better off actually just creating one from scratch. So let us choose create security group, and let us add this over here. So we are giving our security group its own name, and let us add a rule to it as well. So we're going to add a security group rule, and we're going to make sure that all ICMP traffic, IPv4 is allowed. Okay, and then for the rule source, we're just going to use all IP addresses. So that's 0.0.0.0/0. Cool. So just like that, we have enabled all of the security group settings that we need for a very successful run when it comes to connecting to our EC2 instance. This top rule covers that for us. And then later, when we run our connectivity tests, this bottom rule also sorts us out. Now, if you're also still new to these two types of traffic, highly recommend you check out our projects called VPC Connectivity Test, as well as VPC Peering, the last project, so you can learn more about these. But for now, that is perfect, and we can launch the instance. So select Launch Instance. Off it goes. Very, very nice. And then we're going to launch another EC2 instance. Cool. Now, the second one should be a lot faster to set up, don't you think? So let us try to do this with less guidance and go straight for it. We should be using very, very similar settings here. So we're going to give it a name, and then we are going to select Proceed without a key pair, and then we're going to edit the network settings to select Network 2 VPC. Since the second instance should be launched inside the second VPC, not the first one. And then again, let's make sure we enable the public IP address. For the security group name, it is going to look very, very similar to the first security group, except we're using Network 2, SG. SG stands for security group, by the way. And then don't forget, we're going to have to add a security group rule over here so that it can use ICMP traffic. It can allow ICMP traffic from all addresses, just like that. Okay, so that looks really good. We can launch the instance, and I think that's us sorted for our EC2 instances. Let us answer that question right away. What were the security group rules for your EC2 instances? Do you remember? Do you remember? Try to not look at the guide. Try to think about what were the security group rules that you put through when you were setting up that EC2 instance. Cool. Abdurrahman is saying a lovely message, by the way, in the chat. Feeling refreshing. I'm remembering all I have done in minutes. That's cool. That's very, very cool, Abdurrahman. And Yash says, in India, time is 3 p.m. Wow, very nice. That's awesome. Do you usually study at around 3 p.m., Yash? I'm curious. All right, so let's answer this prompt together. My EC2 instances security groups allow, what traffic does it allow? Allow SSH traffic and ICMP type traffic. Oh, full stop, almost missed that over there. This is because SSH traffic, this is because EC2 Instance Connect will need to access our EC2 instance using SSH type traffic. And because we need to allow ICMP type traffic for connectivity tests later. Okay, very happy with this, and let's click that beautiful done button so that we can move on. New step here, set up flow logs. Oof. We're gonna have to pay close attention to this one because flow logs are completely new to us, but you can absolutely learn it from scratch. So, EC2 instances have been launched, and are you ready for the next stage? We're gonna start monitoring our VPC traffic, and to monitor, we're gonna use a tool called VPC flow logs. So let's set up flow logs in this step. Let us create the flow logs, and then later on in the project, the flow logs are gonna just start monitoring the traffic in the background because you've set it up properly in this step. So we're gonna set up a way to track all inbound and outbound network traffic using flow logs, and then we're gonna set up a space that stores all of these records. You know, at the end of the day, where does all of this monitoring and what does all of this traffic tracking go? Has to be stored somewhere. Okay. So in this step, we are setting up VPC flow logs to start monitoring network traffic. We are also, what else are we doing? Do you remember? Yes, we are also setting up a storage space. For our flow logs. Nice, so we'll click done here, and that's us done with this question. Okay, now that that's done, now that we know what we're gonna do, let us do those steps. So in order to set up the storage space for your flow logs or for your network monitoring data, we're gonna set up something called flow log groups in CloudWatch. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go to the search bar at the top of our console, and we're going to type in CloudWatch at the top like this. Okay, and once it's done, we're going to select CloudWatch over here. Okay, and once you're here, welcome to the CloudWatch console. You might have never used CloudWatch before. This might be your very first time using CloudWatch, seeing CloudWatch. If it is, let us say a little hello to Amazon CloudWatch, all right? So, Amazon CloudWatch is a very, very powerful monitoring service provided by AWS, and you can think of it as a watchdog for your AWS account. What Amazon CloudWatch does is it watches over literally everything that happens in your AWS environment, and it does it in real time. So AWS services, when they're running, when they're creating something, when they're letting in network traffic, you know, when an S3 bucket gets a new object, all different kinds of events, these services would literally report to CloudWatch with their metrics. And metrics are basically statistics or measurements of the service's performance. And let's give an example. When it comes to VPCs, what is a potential metric you could track? You could track network latency, which is kind of like how long does it take for traffic to get from the source to the destination. You can track how much data gets transferred. That is also something else that you could measure. And the power of CloudWatch is truly their ability to turn those metrics into insightful data. If you've done our QuickSight project, you'll be familiar with just how powerful QuickSight is into transforming some spreadsheet data into lots of graphs and a very visual dashboard. CloudWatch you can think of as almost like the QuickSight of your services logs, because your services logs will give CloudWatch some very, very raw data on their performance and everything that happens in the service. And it use CloudWatch to turn that into very simple to understand, some beautiful dashboards. And yeah, it's just a very, very powerful tool to be getting to know. So absolutely rave CloudWatch. And here are an example of how you can use CloudWatch. If you were hosting an application on AWS, your dashboard could track how quickly your app is loading for your users. That's an example of something you could do with CloudWatch. And another example of what you could do is that you can set it to automatically do some actions based on key metrics. So it's also an automation tool. So many things in one. For example, you could set CloudWatch to automatically shut down a VPC if it detects that it's letting in illegitimate traffic. So there are a lot of different things that you can do in CloudWatch to say, for example, set me an alarm. If this negative thing happens, I want you to send me a text message, send me an alarm, email me, tell me about it. And then you can even go a next level further and say, you can also automate some of the decisions I'd make. For example, you're allowed to shut down that EC2 instance. You're allowed to do this and do that. So automation is a very powerful feature of CloudWatch too. But in this project, we're going to keep it very, very simple. And you're going to see how we're going to use CloudWatch in just a second. Now, check the region that you're on in your AWS Management Console checks out. For us, Oregon is the best region for us to be in, but you should absolutely pick the region that is closest to you in physical proximity. Cool. And then once you're done checking the region, we're going to quickly click on something called log groups under the log section. Okay, so once you're in log groups, what you can do is you can create a new log. And you might see that we have an existing log group in here that we don't need. So let me sneakily, don't tell anyone I'm doing this, delete this log group right away because we don't need that, so that we can start fresh. Your log group, we're gonna call it Network VPC Flow Logs group. Surprise, surprise. And then we're going to make sure the retention setting, never expire, the log class is standard. Okay, so you're ready to just click on create right here. But if you're curious, what are these interesting things that we've skipped? Retention setting basically means that when you set it to never expire, it means your logs won't get deleted. If you set it to something else, your logs will automatically get deleted once it hits this milestone, in terms of how long it's been around for. You can even go up to 10 years. That's pretty cool. Automatically delete logs after 10 years time. Damn, you're playing a long-term game over there. Okay, the other setting is log class, and this is standard by default, and that basically just means that logs will just get created, and the logs that get created will be accessed and analyzed regularly. Because another log class you could do is infrequent access, and that is just like another type for logs that don't really get accessed often. Now, this is not too important for us, so we can safely move on, but you can essentially think of log class as basically, am I going to be needing these logs often or not? If it's often, use standard. If it's not often, we'll just use infrequent access. Very cool. So let's click create over here. And that creates a new log group for us. It's looking shiny new. You've totally never seen this before. And let us talk about what we can do with these flow logs, with these log groups. Okay, what are logs? Logs are, have we talked about logs in detail? I feel like we haven't, so let us actually talk about it here. So when we created a log group, which is what we created over here, network VPC flow logs group. When we created this group is basically a folder, just a collection of similar logs. And by similar, it means you can they can come from the same source or the same application, the same project. And log groups are basically like folders of logs. So what are logs themselves? Logs are kind of like diary entries for your computer system. So they record everything that happens from users logging in, there's an error popping up. This is the go-to place for understanding what is going on with your systems. You know, you could always troubleshoot problems based on what your systems are saying in their logs. And you can absolutely just have a bit more control or awareness about what's happening in your VPC when you have logs about your VPC's network traffic as well. So I hope that clarifies things around what are logs. You're going to see a log in just a second. So if you're wondering like, oh, I just don't know what to expect from a log, what does it even look like? Don't you dare worry, because we're going to be touching on that in just a second too. Cool. So once you set up your log group, what is next? Shall we find out? Yes, we were wanting to explain what are logs. So logs are like diary entries for my computer systems. They are I would say they are detailed diary entries. Logs are like diary entries on my computer systems. They are detailed records of any kind of activity related to the traffic that the log is tracking. Well, to the traffic or the resource or the AWS service that the log is tracking. Very nice. Once that's done, what are log groups? Oof, yes, let's answer that question too. Log groups are groupings of logs, i.e. logs that belong to the same project, application, source, are often in a log group together. Very nice. So once that's done, we're going to hit done. And then we're going to head back to our VPC console. Ooh, what's happening here? Now you shall find out. Don't you worry. Now, if I'm switching services, I would love to do that in a new tab. So what's going to happen is in the search bar, we're going to type in VPC here. So we can head back to the VPC console and open that in a new tab. So then now in one tab, I have CloudWatch, but then on my other tab, we get to, in the other tab, we get to visit our VPC console. Very nice. So, how is everybody doing, by the way? How are you finding this project so far? Let us know in the chat. Is there a step that's been going a little bit fast? Or if you're doing okay, let us know what's been your favorite step or the most interesting learning so far. Okay, cool. We're going to head back to the Your VPCs page. And then we're going to select our VPC. And ta-da! Turns out there's a flow logs tab within our VPC. Whoa. This flow tabs is pretty empty though. There's nothing in there so far. So there are no flow logs found in this region. Okay, interesting. What is a flow log? So, now that you know that logs themselves are like the diary entries that services keep, you can think of flow logs as a specific type of diary entry that is designed for your VPC to track down who's visiting your VPC or any specific network interface that it's going to. So again, you can think of flow logs as just a specific type of diary or a specific type of diary entry that's designed for VPCs to store data about their network traffic. Cool. And if you're wanting to learn an extra tidbit on what are network interfaces, highly recommend you give this a read. In the meantime, for us, we're gonna keep on trucking ahead by creating a flow log. So we're gonna select create flow log in the top right hand corner. And then under name, we're gonna give it a name called Nixwork VPC flow log. Surprise, surprise. And then the type of filter is going to accept all kinds of traffic. We don't want to just only talk about traffic that's been accepted by our security settings. We don't want to just talk about traffic that's been rejected. We just want to talk about all kinds of traffic here. And then we're going to set the maximum aggregation interval to just 1. Okay, now, what is a maximum aggregation interval? And in our scenario, the maximum aggregation interval means really how quickly traffic flow will get lumped into a single log record. Because log records, every single diary entry, might not just be about one specific transaction. It might not just be about one specific traffic flow that happened. So what we want to do is just make sure that every single minute, all of the traffic that gets tracked is in a single flow log. 1 minute is usually the more granular choice, which means you get more flow logs out of the same amount of time. Because for the 10 minutes option, you would get 1 flow log for every 10 minutes of network activity, which might be a little bit slower. Okay, so we're going to make sure the destination is just to send to CloudWatch logs, right? So the moment all of this data is saved, the moment all of this data is recorded, it will get saved in CloudWatch logs. Very nice. And yeah, there are other destination options. CloudWatch logs is not the only place. You have things like S3 Bucket or something called Amazon Data Firehose, which is another kind of traffic that lets you analyze data in real time. So those are some other options too. In our scenario though, we're just wanting to send this straight to CloudWatch logs. So the destination log group will be your VPC flow logs group, and then your IAM role is you might notice we don't have an IAM role ready for us to use. Can you try searching up, perhaps you could search up something like, what can you search up? You can search up VPCs. Oh, no search results. Is an IAM role fit for flow logs? No. So what that means is the access to do certain things is currently blocked off because there is no IAM role set up for us. You've guessed it. We're going to set up that IAM role then. If it's not there, I guess we'll just have to roll up our sleeves and do it from scratch ourselves. Okay, before we jump into that step though, a big shout out to Sumit in the chat saying everything is good. Exciting stuff. The exciting part is I'm always learning something new here. Thank you, Sumit. We're always just so excited by comments like that. So glad to hear that you're learning something new here always. Okay, so in step 4, we're going to be setting up a flow log IAM policy and role. So what that means is flow logs currently don't have an IAM admin role. There's no IAM admin role here. What that means is if you don't have an IAM admin role for your flow log, it's not going to have the permission to publish logs to Amazon CloudWatch and specifically the log group you've set up. Let me say that one more time. If you don't set up an IAM admin role, not IAM admin role, but just any IAM role, your flow log that you're trying to set up won't have the permission to even create logs and then upload those logs to CloudWatch logs. So we're going to need to make sure that resources in our VPC can absolutely still actually track and monitor traffic. So what are we going to do? We need to give our monitoring, I guess, tools to have the access. So to do that, I guess we'll just have to set up the permissions ourselves. Okay, let's talk about this. In this step, we provide VPC flow logs with the permission to, what is VPC flow log going to have the permission to? VPC flow logs will have the permission to create logs and upload them into. In this step, we provide VPC flow logs with the permission to create logs and upload them into our log group in CloudWatch. Very nice. All set up. Very, very happy with that. So we're going to click done. Across the line, all done. Very nice. And then we're going to set up that handy set up permissions link over here. Click on that. Looks good. And then in the, perfect. So once you click on Set Up Permissions tab, you get sent straight to this page, which gives you access to creating a new role with AWS IAM, our Identity and Access Managed service. Now, we're not going to use this roles page straight away because we're actually going to use the policies page first. That's right. So we're going to select policies on the left-hand navigation panel, and then we're going to choose to create a new policy. Okay, and this policy will be defined using JSON. The code for that is right here in the step-by-step guide. So all you have to do is press copy code like this, and then paste that in here right away. Ooh. That looks really good. So once that's pasted, okay, you might be thinking, why are we creating this policy? What does this policy say? Because it is a bit of a chunky one, isn't it? It's a bit of a chunky policy. There's multiple actions in here. So let's break it down and let's have a look here. So first things first is there's a version. And a version basically just means the version of policy language that you're using. It really just means we're using the 2012 version of defining policies with JSON. This is 2012 formatting. And 2012 actually is still the most recent version, if I'm not wrong. So I guess we haven't been needing to update the way that we define policies since more than 10 years ago. All right. And under statements, we're basically saying effect allow, so we're about to allow a lot of the actions below. What are those actions? One of those actions is called create log group, and that is a great option for us to, let us do that here. So one of the options is to create a log group, which basically helps you, whoever ends up getting permissions with this policy, the ability to create new log groups in CloudWatch, and so on and so forth with other kinds of resources. Not only will the person using this policy or the person that or the service that assumes this policy, they will also be able to create log groups. They can create log streams. They can even save those log events into CloudWatch, and then they can even extract some data about the log groups and about the log streams. So that is a bit of information on what is the actual policy we're uploading. In one sentence, I'd say this policy allows policyholders the ability to create new log groups and also save networking traffic data called logs, which is, a very, very powerful policy for sure. Cool. So why did you create an IAM policy? Do you remember? So, by the way, if you would like more detailed explanations on the JSON policy, all of that detail is in the step-by-step guide. Would highly recommend you check it out. But in the meantime, why did you create an IAM policy? We created an IAM policy we created an IAM policy so that we can define a rule that allows policyholders, e.g., our very stunning VPC flow log service, the ability to create log streams. And upload them into CloudWatch. Okay, perfect. Now that that's done, we're gonna click done to finalize our answer. Oh, actually, I would say this is okay. We created an IAM policy so that we can define a rule that allows policyholders, for example, our amazing VPC flow log service, we're going to provide our policyholders with the ability to create these log streams and also upload them into CloudWatch so we can analyze it later. Done. Very nice. Then we're going to choose next at the bottom of the screen. And then we're going to give our policy a name. So let us give it the name. What do we think? Is there a name that you like? We're going to call it, right here. We're going to call it VPC, next to VPC flow logs policy. Pretty nice and simple and straightforward, I'd have to say. And then shall we also create this policy now? So let us select create policy over here. Done! That is your policy all set up. Congratulations. Do you think we're all done with the IAM admin's IAM side of things? Check again at the field and our requirements. Does it say IAM policy? Not quite. You can even click on the refresh button here, and you can even search, Network flow logs, which is the name of the policy that we've created, and you're going to see it doesn't show up in the search results. Why? Because what is being asked of us is to set up an IAM role. Yeah, so there's a difference there. IAM policies are not the same as IAM roles. So on top of the policy that we've set up already, we're going to need to set up a role. This thing here. Okay, so what are roles? Why do they exist? And what's the difference with policies? Why did I need to set up both? Let's answer those questions. So IAM policies and roles do go hand in hand. They work together all the time. So it is important to know their differences and why both exist. So IAM policies are like the rules that determine what someone or something can or cannot do in your AWS account. So an IAM policy, like what we've just created, that one allowed access to a log stream, for example. That one allowed the ability to upload logs into CloudWatch. So that was like an IAM policy because it could determine what something or someone, in other words, the person that uses that policy or takes on that policy, will have these permissions attached to them. In the meantime, when you bundle these IAM policies together, you create an IAM role. You can then assign this role to AWS services or users, giving them the permissions included in the attached policies. So you can think of, you can have policies, which are like rules, and then you can have multiple policies, all kind of keychained up, all in the same keychain, and then you can pass that keychain to someone else. And then that someone else will just accept that keychain, and now they have all of the policies and the permissions associated with the keys in their keychain. So they almost get this like bundle of policies with a role. And And what's happening here, okay, is also the fact that why can't you just assign an IAM policy directly, to our service? You have to assign roles to a service? Interesting. Why is that? Why do we have to assign a role to VPC flow logs instead of just assigning the policy itself? So it really is typically a 3-step process. Once you create the IAM policies, 2, you create the IAM role. You're about to do this. We haven't created the role yet. And then 3, you assign your IAM role to a service. And it sounds like you'll get to do this soon too. So in the left-hand navigation pane, we are going to go straight into clicking on roles. We're finally back into the roles page. And once we're here, we're going to create a new role. So we're going to choose create role over here. We're going to choose create role. And then for the trusted entity type, we're going to do a very, very special selection today. The selection that we're picking is custom trust policy. So click on custom trust policy. Okay, and something new pops up. Okay, and stop here. Let us understand what custom trust policy means before we move on. Now, what is a custom trust policy? A custom trust policy is a specific type of policy. So they're different from IAM policies because IAM policies help you define actions that a user or service cannot do, right? So that was kind of like the policy that we just created. That policy allowed people to interact with CloudWatch and to create log streams or create log groups and so on and so forth. One second. Oh, okay. So, custom trust policies isn't exactly the same thing because custom trust policies exist so that we can very narrowly just already define who can or cannot use this role. Here's another way to think about it. Using a custom trust policy is kind of like using a special VIP list. Only the services you pinpoint in your policy will be allowed to use your role. So in other words, when you're using a custom trust policy like this, you can be like, only this specific service can have access to this role, can actually assume the credentials or can actually assume the access level associated with this role. So you're here defining like who can even use this role. And in that case, let us edit this custom trust policy. We need to create a custom trust policy because don't forget why we're creating an IAM role. We're creating this IAM role, this entire role. The reason why we're doing this is for the ability to give VPC Cloud Logs the permission to write and send logs to CloudWatch. We want to make sure that only Cloud Logs will be able to have that access to CloudWatch. Oh, in case I mix up that sentence, we want to make sure that we only want flow logs to have access to CloudWatch. So how we want to do this is we want to create a custom trust policy that basically says out loud, hey everyone, only VPC flow logs is allowed to use this role. Everyone else, sorry, you can't use this IAM role. It's pretty much been reserved or can only be used by a specific person or like a specific thing that's been mentioned in the custom trust policy. Cool. So a custom trust policy panel pops up like this, and then we're going to make sure that the principal identified here in this code block gets pasted over here. So we're just going to select this amazing outfit, and let's click paste. Awesome. Let's also make sure that the formatting looks okay. For example, we can drag this up. Okay, drag this up. And then We can also watch this go up as well. I'm sure it will. Okay, so let's make sure that your code is well formatted so that we don't run into any errors. This commonly will happen if there's, for example, a missing comma, a missing semicolon, a missing bracket. Like, it can really come down to those little details. So please take care, double check that your custom trust policy looks okay, and then we'll move on. Okay, perfect. Oh, we're going to take a screenshot of the custom trust policy. Well, thankfully I haven't changed tabs yet. So let's take a screenshot like this. Looking good. Oh, actually the screenshot doesn't capture the entire custom trust policy. So we're going to try again. This time trying to capture the entire policy. That looks much better. And let's take a screenshot of that instead. Very nice. And then we're going to boop, add it into our task. So once that's done, let's think about it. Why are we creating an IAM role? This is spelled out very loud and clear. So if you've gone to a, so if you watched earlier in this demo, or you've paid close attention to all the explanations, you'd be able to answer this question, okay? So why are you creating an IAM role? I also created an IAM role because, what was the reason? Oh, and hi to Uday, who says hi in the chat. Hey Uday, good to see you, man. Okay. I also created an IAM role because services like VPC flow logs have to be associated with a role instead of JSON. Okay? And creating an IAM role will be necessary. Like this, to give our VPC flow logs the access it needs to what? We're going to absolutely need to give our VPC flow logs the access it needs to record and upload logs. That sounds about right. Nice. Last question for this step. What is a custom trust policy? Aha! Literally this thing right now on the console screen. What is a custom trust policy? Hey. A custom trust policy is a specific type of policy used for defining designing who or what is allowed access to the IAM role. Yeah, perfect. So we have officially restricted all access to this IAM role unless we are trying to assign this role to something that belongs in the VPC flow logs service. Very, very handy. It feels a little bit more exclusive now, you know, the ability to use this policy. So that feels very good. And then we're going to click on done. Very nice. So you've just completed another step, and we can now, actually, before we move on, make sure that we are finishing up with creating the policy and the flow log. Almost missed those steps. Oh my goodness. But yes, now that we have kind of uploaded our custom trust policy, we're just going to click on next. Okay, and under add permissions, what do you think? So don't forget, you can think of your IAM role as a keychain, and then the IAM policies as the keys. So we have the keychain all set up now, and now we need to decide what keys can go on this keychain. So we have already set up a key earlier in this project. Do you remember? What was the IAM policy that we created? It was next to VPC flow logs. So let's put that in. VPC flow log, like this, looking cool. And then we're gonna select next and then give it a role name. So the name for this IAM role is going to be next to our VPC flow logs role, like this. Oh, perfect. And then we are, I think, all ready. So once you've given it a name, you're ready to just create the role. Woo, woo, woo. That's a huge milestone. So congratulations on setting up that IAM role for VPC flow logs. As you can see, oh, there you go. As you can see, you should be able to search up flow logs like this now, and look at that, it comes up as a search result. So well done, and let us share those learnings with this specific setup page. So we're going to switch tabs back into our setup page and finish it off. So now that we have definitely have an IAM role, we can use that here. So let's click on that refresh button to the right of the IAM role field, and then we are going to search for flow logs. Correct. So we're going to search for flow log, and perfect, your VPC flow logs role has been created for you. So that was very nice and straightforward and stress-free, and you're able to just create the flow log. Yeah. So once you're all ready, all we have to do is do one final swoop, if you like, of everything here. And then we're going to create the flow log just like that. Oh. Okay. 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 So back to the normal path. Now that the flow log is all set up, literally you have it going now. It says successfully create the flow log. Now that you have created these logs or these flow logs, this means network traffic going into and out of the VPC is also getting tracked too. A very, very secure way to set up security practices in minutes, literally minutes. Now, what we're about to step into is VPC peering now. So you would have learned about VPC peering in the previous project, but truly the key thing that we want to make sure we know is the fact that VPC peering helps two separate VPCs talk to each other. They're like calling each other and having a good chat. Okay, so in our case, we have just finished setting up the VPC flow logs, and we want to make sure that it is actually getting traffic for it to even explore anything and analyze anything. So what's happened is we are now going to use instance 1 to talk to instance 2 so that it can send those messages, and hopefully that contributes to a more bustling and live kind of network environment too. Okay, so what are we doing in this step? In this step, we are generating network traffic, this becomes important when we are communicating about cloud networks or cloud networking or cloud engineering. I'm sure you do so many of these already, but thought it would be a great idea to also share about cloud engineering in particular. It could be an interesting one. Woof! Awesome. Now that that's done, we're going to click Done, okay, to finish that answer. And then we're going to head into the EC2 instance. think I got lost for a second there. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. We're back online. Okay, so we're gonna head to our EC2 console right over here. And then we're gonna select the instances page from the left-hand navigation bar. And then from here, we're gonna launch an instance like this. Oh, actually, we're not going to launch the instance. We're going to connect to the instance. So we're going to select one of our instances, and then we're going to select connect like this. And then we're going to select connect at the bottom to successfully directly connect to our EC2 instance. Woof, it happens so quickly. So if you are new to this, if you haven't really directly connected to an EC2 instance before, highly recommend that you check out our project on VPC connectivity tests, where you get to demo that and also get some slower explanations at the same time. But for us, we're going to actually leave this tab open so that we can collect one important piece of information. We're going to head back into the instances page, and then we're actually going to select our second EC2 instance over here, and then under networking, or actually not even under networking, we can see it right here, we can just copy the private IP address. Okay, let's click on private. Let's copy that. And do you remember what is the command we'd use to test our connectivity with another IP address? This is something that we've done for 2 projects now. This is the 3rd project of us using it. Ping! It is ping that gets us there. So in the terminal, you're going to run the command ping and then paste the private IP address of your second EC2 instance. Aha! We have a single reply. And as you might have learned from the last 2 projects, getting a single reply, or really just getting a single response from the terminal, is not usually great news. It means that something has gone wrong in the network, which means that in terms of this ping test, the message didn't reach our EC2 instance 2, or maybe it didn't come back successfully. So let us take a screenshot of the ping response, like this, and let us add that to our project guide. Perfect. Okay, so let us now talk about this. So what does this ping response specifically mean? Awesome. Let us write about this. Okay, my first ping test between my EC2 instances had no replies. That's right. What that means is VPC, which means ICMP traffic could be blocked. What is another potential reason? Well, we can be clear that it could be blocked by the security groups or the network ACLs. That's exactly what we learned from the previous 2 projects. And what is another potential reason? What is another potential reason for us getting no replies? What do you think? Maybe, or maybe, our traffic is being routed to a wrong path. Very nice. Awesome. And then we're going to click done. Very nice. We've clicked done now. And are you ready for some more advanced peering work? You can do some investigating into what's happening right now by pressing Ctrl+C on your keyboard, which cancels the current ping test. And then we can run another ping test. But this time, this ping test is going to look slightly different because we're going to we're going to see if we can test the connection between our current VPC, VPC1, or really we're kind of directly accessing instance 1, whether instance 1 can connect with the public IP address of the other EC2 instance. Can we get those two to talk to each other? Now, how we do that is we head back to our instances page in the EC2 console. We click here, and then we click on the public IPv4 address of, we click here, and then we click on the public IPv4 address, like this, of EC2 instance 2. So, shall we run a ping test with this? Let us give it a go. Whoa, do you see that? So, what's happened so far is we get no replies, no response at all, if we were to ping the private address of EC2 instance 2, our second EC2 instance. But what's happened right now is your first EC2 instance says, okay, you're not going to reply based off of your private address, that's okay. But what if I pinged with your public address instead? And what's happened? We get ping replies. This means if traffic is just through the public internet and we're reaching our other EC2 instance through the public internet, it can get there. It can get to the other EC2 instance purely just through the public IP address. Awesome. So, what does that really mean for our network setup? This means receiving ping replies from the public IPv4 address means instance 2 technically can actually accept ICMP traffic. It can even provide some replies to ping requests. Okay, so there is no problem in terms of whether the security group and the network ACL is actually properly letting in ICMP traffic. So we've kind of just ruled out a potential answer, knowing that. Let's also answer this question here. It says, I could receive ping replies if I ran the ping test using the other instance's public IP address, which means, okay, so we genuinely could still receive ping replies if we just ran that ping test using another public IP address. This means, what does that mean? This means our second instance is actually allowing ICMP and SSH traffic. Cool. Well, technically it just means that we're allowing ICMP traffic, maybe not SSH as much. Okay. We're going to click done here to complete it. And as an extension, if you'd like, so no worries if you feel like the step is already a bit too long, completely understand if that's you. But if you like to give things a go, try to open the terminal in your local computer. So for myself, I'm using Mac, so I will go here and I can even type in terminal up top like this to open my local terminal. Now, this is going to be interesting. Oh, you might not be able to see this. How can I give you access? Okay. This is a different setup, but that's okay. We do what we need. Can we try running the ping test from our local computer? And now our local computer isn't even like directly connected with our VPC at all. It's just, we're just a local computer living in the internet space, technically. So we're gonna do a ping test, with our local computer. We're gonna run ping, and then we're gonna paste, that's definitely the wrong thing we're pasting there. Okay, we'll just quit that. But let us find, again, the public IP address of our second VPC, we're going to copy that. Can we run a ping test using the public IP address of our second EC2 instance? Look at that. We can successfully ping another instance. Wow. Isn't that so cool? So we successfully just pinged technically a device from our local computer. That was really, really cool because no longer are we working just within EC2 Instance Connect. We ran that command locally in our own terminal. So we do get ping replies. And it is further validation that instance 2 definitely is actually reachable through ICMP traffic. And really though, what's quite interesting was knowing that if any random laptop can just run ping and then your IP address, your public IP address, imagine the level of security vulnerabilities that you open up just by making your some of your security groups. If you make some of your security groups, your network ACLs, or your security settings to like allow all kinds of traffic, your EC2 instance just becomes so vulnerable. And extra for experts as well, you're going to notice that the amount of time mentioned here is drastically different. Okay, let's make sure you can actually see this. Do you see how the amount of time mentioned is like in the 140s? Now check what it looks like when your EC2 instance is pinging the second EC2 instance. Look at the time. 0 point something. We just went from 140 something to 160 something to 0 point something. There's a huge difference in milliseconds in terms of how quickly these ping messages are getting there and back. So why is there such a big difference? Don't forget that instance 1, the instance that you're working with, is in the exact same availability zone as instance 2. So it's very likely that they'll be physically much closer. And when they're physically closer, your network has to travel a shorter distance, it gets there faster, and then your network traffic is also super fast. Okay, we also have Bushan. Oh, hi Bushan, good to see you, man. Bushan asks, is it a VPC topic or IAM? Ooh, good question. At the end of the day, this is still a VPC networks project. Thanks for asking though. Okay. Once that's set up, let us just give our private addresses a second hope. Shall we just try to ping another private IP address? Let us try. So let us click on private IP address over here. Let us run a ping with that. So we're going to press Control-C on this keyboard to quit the session, and let us add a new command. We're going to now try just pinging the private IPv4 address. Okay, let us put that through. Oh, that doesn't quite look right, does it? Cool, let us click copy like this, and then let us go into EC2 Instance Connect, and then let us mention that we're going to talk about ping, and we're going to paste that in there. Do we get any replies? Oof, no, still no. So still, there isn't a way for EC2 instances in your first VPC to, for traffic to get to the other VPC in a very, very safe and secure way. Now, you might be thinking, what is the reason for this? What is the reason that we just can't seem to get the private IP address to work? Why is that? So if you'd like to investigate, you can absolutely visit the VPC console again in a new tab, and then see if you can find the missing link or the missing resource or the missing configuration that can take us to the next level. Cool. So in the meantime, we're just going to click on our subnets. Oh, and let's make sure the region is correct. It says North Virginia up top for some reason, but we're actually based in Oregon. Okay, let us refresh this too. Aha! There is a public subnet that we can use, Network 1 public subnet, and let us check out the route table. Oh, look at that! Very, very nice. Very, very, very nice. Wow! I think someone in the chat is mentioning that you've predicted the future, mate. I think it was... Oh, that is so cool. That is so, so cool, everyone. Thank you so much for all of your comments in the chat. And a special shout out to Vincenzo for correctly predicting that it is to do with the route table. In the meantime, Rafki says ICMP is off. Thankfully, because the traffic, or we were getting ping replies if we were using the public IP address, it suggested that ICMP wasn't off at all. Joe says, why you no work ping? Exactly. The frustration is real. But in the meantime, what we're going to do now is we're going to check the route tables, and then we have identified the root cause of this issue. Can you figure out what it could be based on the routes here? Have a think. Have a quick think. Okay, very, very well. So what's the issue with the route table? We'll ask you a question back this time. Where is the direct route to VPC2 from VPC1 in this route table? Can you find it? Don't forget, we were using the private IP address. That's where we were running into issues. The private IP address of instance 2 doesn't seem to be working. Okay, so the missing ingredient in our architecture is the VPC peering connection that directly connects VPCs 1 and 2. It was right in front of us, team. We set up the VPC, we set up the EC2 instance. We did not set up the peering connection that's supposed to provide that direct connection between our VPCs. Okay, so let us answer this question using the new knowledge that we're armed with. Okay, so looking at VPC1's route table, we identified that the ping test with instance 2's private address actually failed because... Alright, so yes, we identified that the ping test with instance 2's private address failed because we do not have a route in our VPC's route tables that directs traffic from one VPC to another. Very nice. Okay. Okay, next we're going to set up that peering connection that we've talked about. So now that we have caught the missing link, turns out this whole time our routes was missing a route to directly connect to the other VPC. You know, and the reason why those routes don't exist is because we haven't really created that product yet. But that's okay. We can definitely set up a connection link between your VPCs. We can create that product. We can create that peering connection, and let us do this ASAP. So if you are new to VPC peering, highly recommend that you check out the previous project. It's going to show you all the steps for creating a peering connection in a very, very detailed way. But in the meantime, we're probably going to do this in a slightly faster speed. So what are we doing in this step? In this step, we are setting up a peering connection so that VPCs 1 and 2 can talk directly with each other. Nice. Now that that's done, we can click done. Okay, and let us set up the peering connection. So we're gonna click on peering connections. Can you see it? Oh, it was right at the bottom. I couldn't even find peering connections from the left-hand navigation bar. But yes, it is at the very bottom of the virtual private cloud section. And let us set up a new peering connection for direct communication. We're going to name it something great, something amazing, something never done before. Okay, it's definitely been done before. VPC1, arrow, arrow, VPC2. That's the name of our peering connection. And then we chose a local VPC to peer with. So we're going to choose Network 2 VPC as a VPC we want to peer with. So this is the other VPC that will be on the other end, on the other side of this direct connection. All right. Oh, sorry, we are wanting to peer with Network 1 VPC, but Network 1 VPC is going to want to peer with Network 2 VPC. Okay, and when that's done, you can create your peering connection. Done and dusted, just like that. Okay, don't forget to still accept the request, and then click on accept request here. Cool. And then you want to click on accept request. Very nice. You can click on, once you click on that, you can click on modify my route tables from that green bar at the top. So we're going to select that. And then we're going to update the route tables. Woohoo! So why are we updating the route tables, you might ask? Well, updating the route tables is going to be very, very important for traffic in your VPC to know that the peering connection exists and that they can, and that traffic can even travel through there in the first place. Otherwise, traffic in your VPC would not know that the peering connection exists and would not know that they could actually access another VPC's resource so directly instead of having to go through the public internet. Cool. So we're going to be updating the route tables in order to achieve this. In this step, we are updating the route tables for, we're updating the route tables for, what are we updating the route tables for? Do you remember? We're updating the route tables for our two VPCs so that traffic bound for the other VPC, so traffic bound for the other VPC can be directed to the what is it called? To the peering connection instead of the public internet. How good? Very nice. Let's click done. Phew! So to do that, we're going to first update VPC1's route table. And again, the first time we ran these steps, it was in the previous project on VPC peering. So if you're new to these steps, if you're wanting a slower explanation, check out the project demo for the previous project. Yeah, in the meantime, we're going to select... Ooh, actually... No, actually, it is a good idea. In my mind, I was thinking, could we do an extra challenge here? And I thought, no, actually, no, let's not do that here. So cancel that thought. We're just going to quickly set up the route here. So we're going to click on Edit Routes. We're going to click on Add Route. And of course, the destination is going to be the IPv4 CIDR block for the other VPC, not this VPC, but the other VPC, because we're trying to get there. So we're going to add their CIDR block as our destination. And then the target is going to be a peering connection. We only have one, so there's only going to be one result. And let us save those changes. Cool. Super speed. Let us try to do the same thing, but for our second route table. So this route table is for VPC 2 and your public subnet in VPC 2. So the route, which we're going to edit, has a destination of 10.1.0.0, and then a peering connection that is the default one. We're going to click on Save Changes. Hey, done! Now those are the route tables updated. That looks really good. Cool. So once those are all updated, you can take a screenshot of either one of your VPC's new route tables. So I'm just going to use this one. Very nice. Nice. That looks really good. So once we have uploaded the screenshot of the VPC's route tables, let us answer a few questions. So we're going to be here to say, I also updated both VPC's route tables so that, what was the reason? What was the reason for updating our VPC's route tables? It was so that traffic from one of the VPCs can get directed to go through, let's be actually even more clearer. I also updated both VPC's route tables, comma, so that traffic from one of the VPCs can get directed, so that traffic from one of the VPCs and heading to the other VPC, that took me a while to finally click together, didn't it? Can get directed to go through the peering connection instead of what? Do you remember? So now they'll get directed to go through the peering connection instead of the public internet. Very, very good. Oh, actually, we should be even more clearer that it is technically we are heading to the other VPC's private address. That's really what we're doing. Because technically, if we were to just go through the public address, we can still get access to the other VPC. It's just that it's through the public internet now, and that's not exactly safe. Okay, so all done. Let us click done. Woo! Adrenaline rush. Hello. And then we're gonna revisit the EC2 Instance Connect tab. Whoa, that was amazing. That was very fast. Just like that, we are receiving a lot of new lines. Wow, I am actually so shocked by how quickly our screen filled up with lines from the moment that we updated the route table and we typed in an answer, we clicked on EC2 Instance Connect. Whoa, that was very, very fast, wasn't it? Everything works so fast in the land of AWS and in the land of cloud computing. Okay, so here's a little tip that you might find interesting. Let's say you've accidentally quit your terminal before you could, switch tabs back and just automatically start seeing new lines coming through. You won't see new lines coming through if you had stopped this project halfway and if you decide to stop the project halfway, and perhaps it'll be very, very hard for the EC2 Instance Connect to still be running if you say accidentally shut down your computer screen and you see that it's been restarted. Anyway, the little hack that you could use is to use your keyboard and to use the up button in your keyboard when you're inside your terminal. So click on that up button. So for me, myself, I'm gonna click on the up button like this. Look at that. In your terminal, it has already updated itself to automatically pre-fill to your latest command. You can even continue clicking on the up button, and you can even cycle through all of the commands that you've used so far. So if I just click on the up button once, again, I get to see the last command that I've put through, and I can press enter. Very nice. So just like that, you could redo the previous command. So if you've accidentally lost your progress and then new lines weren't coming through, your terminal has been waiting for you to put through a new command, just push that up button and you'll be able to just very, very easily see your last command. Cool. I hope that's helpful. And with that in mind, we have successfully resolved the connectivity issue, by setting up that peering architecture between VPCs A and B. 1 second. A thought suddenly came to mind. But in the meantime, let us take a photo of this very successful ping response and let's add that to our documentation. So let us take a screenshot of the ping response. That looks pretty nice. And shall we drag that into our step-by-step guide? Happy days. And now let us answer this question. What do the successful ping replies indicate? What does it do? All right, let us say the truth. The truth. We received ping replies from instance 2's private IP address. Okay, so this means setting up the peering connection, and then this means setting up the peering connection, and then what else did we do? Do you remember? So setting up the peering connection, and then the route table. What does it do? We're slowing down with the rate that we're answering these questions so we can think about them together. So this means setting up the peering connection and then the route table. What did it do? Solved the connectivity error. Solved the connectivity error of our VPC's traffic not being able to navigate from one VPC to another. All right, looks good. Let us click done, like this, all finished. So as an extension, this is completely optional. You can try to validate your command by running the exact same ping command from your local terminal. So we can, again, find the private IP address of our EC2 instance, and then, oh, wrong place, and then from here, okay, from here, we can try test out, can we communicate with the private IP address of the EC2 instance? Now, what do you think is going to happen when we run ping and then we add that private IP address of the other instance? What do you think is going to happen? Have a thought to yourself, maybe even add that to the chat. All right, so if we just were to run this, if we were to run this command using the private IP address, someone else, oh, sorry, this doesn't seem to work. There we go. So if you want to run ping using the private IP address of your second EC2 instance, and you're doing this through your local terminal, so no longer through your EC2 instance connect, what's going to happen? Whoa, look at that. So this is a new type of error. It says request timeout, and it's basically our terminal saying, look, I don't think I have access to this private IP address. But remember who has access to the resource behind that private IP address? Yep, EC2 instance 1 absolutely could still get access using the private IP address. And that's all thanks to the peering connection setup. Okay, so once you've done this validation, you can absolutely quit your local terminal session because your validating of your setup is all done. Congratulations. And another optional extension is to head back to your EC2 Instance Connect tab, say less, we know exactly how to do that. And then what you're going to do is run the same ping command, but this time you add C5 to the end of the ping command. Okay, so here's an example here. But absolutely, you could probably change that IP address to something else. Okay, so if you want to just run that ping test one more time, we're gonna do this. If you want to run that ping test one more time, ping plus result. Very, very cool. So we have, look at how like in the normal state, the number of lines just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. So what's going to happen if we do ping IP address and then we go -C 5. Interesting. Look at this. Look at this. The ping test stops automatically. That is amazing. So with this command, -C 5, we are limiting the number of ping tests that can go out in this, the number of packets that can go out in this ping test. So, in other words, this is just a really good option to limit the number of ping attempts. Let's say you want to analyze connectivity and you want to compare two things. And then the metric for success and the metric to help you decide which of the two things you want to go with is their performance time. And you're going to want to make sure that when you compare these two options, especially for like scientists who are writing some journals, you're going to want to make sure that you're being very, very precise. And absolutely, it really helps to do -C5 in these kind of situations because you can control the number of packages that go out, you control how the experiments are going to go, and then you get to just have full control over what happens. Now, cool. Now, with that in mind, I think that concludes the secret extra missions or the secret extra for expert sections. So once that's done, we shall move on to the final step of today's project. My goodness, we're up to the final step now. And to wrap things up in today's project, we are going to check out what VPC flow logs has recorded about your network's activity. Do you remember all the way back in step 3, we set up flow logs and we said, all right, you're about to track network traffic, have fun. And we kind of just focus on VPC peering in the steps afterwards. But in this step, we're going to check in on how that's going, and then perhaps continue to lost my train of thought there. Perhaps even continue to analyze those flow logs to get some tasty insights. Alright, so we are going to answer this question about what are we doing in this step, and Oh, very cool to see everyone in the chat as well. Uh, Vincenzo says, tips hope to be useful. You can use ping/n4 to limit the number of responses. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. We were doing the same thing, but using a different command. I didn't know /n4 is something we could do. Should we just try that right now as well? Can we try that? Oh. Ping. And then what was the tip that Vincenzo said? /n4. Oh, damn. Did I do something wrong there, Vincenzo? Oh, ping /n4. Oh, I must have done something wrong there. Huh. It would be cool to limit the number of responses, though. I'd love to figure out how to do that using the command that you've suggested there. Oh my gosh! Uliana's in the chat too, under Milia. Hi, Nat. It's Uliana. Happy to see you. So happy to see you too. Atul says, love from India, good stuff. Plaxida says, love from London. Wow, we have a London crew pumping today. Nice to see you all again. Yeah, it really is nice to see everyone each time. And then we have Rafki saying hi from Indonesia. Hi, Rafki. Hi from New Zealand. It is so good to be connected with you and doing this AWS project together. Okay, before we forget though, we're just going to explain what we're doing in this step. In this step, we are tracking the network data that's been collected on our VPCs, and then analyze that data to extract insights. Sweet. So, with that in mind, we're going to head back to our CloudWatch console. All right, head back to the tab with CloudWatch on it, or if you don't have that tab anymore, just search CloudWatch like this. And then select that top result. You can absolutely do that too. But in the meantime, we're going to go into the log group that you've created for your VPC flow logs. Scroll down, please, and look at that. You have searched, you have a single log stream. Nice. So let us click into this log stream. And fun fact, if you're wondering what is going on here, why is it called ENI something something something? No, you did not manually name anything ENI something 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 in this project, but this log stream has been named after the network interface associated with the subnet, associated with the resource that we're interested in tracking. And in this case, having ENIs as a name for a log stream is just really, really helpful to quickly organize which streams are traffic. Apologies for that. To quickly organize which streams are tracking traffic to which resources in your VPC. Again, if you're wondering, oh, what is going on here? What is ENI? What is Network Interface ID? There is a more comprehensive definition about that further up in this project guide. So you can just Command F, keyword search for Network Interface, and you'll be able to get more details. But yes, in the meantime, let us click into the log stream, and oh my gosh, look at these log events. These log events are every single log. Remember that we had that aggregation of 1 minute. So every single minute there's at least been one log about activity that's happened inside your network. Ooh, this is so much fun. So you can even scroll to the top. You know, you can even expand one of these, okay? And then you can see that there's so much information packed inside this log. It's so hard to understand these logs at a glance, but absolutely you can learn how they work. We have an annotated version of a log over here that you can use. And in the meantime, what you really need to know, okay, is that a log shows you the source IP address of a piece of traffic, the destination IP address, so where that traffic is going. It will tell you about how long it took to get to its destination. You also get to know, was that traffic accepted or rejected by the security group, by the network ACL. And then there's also even more information, like how much data was being transferred in packets. My goodness, what kind of protocol is being used. So there's so much that you can analyze and you can do just using flow logs. Cool. We're going to take a screenshot right now of an expanded flow log to really commemorate this because, oh, look at that. You could see that there has been two different outcomes for our traffic. One was reject okay and one was accept. So reject would have been if traffic was turned away by a security group or a network ACL, for example, or any kind of policy. For example, maybe there are some resource level policies that you've set up, but that is slightly out of scope for this project. And, in this case, accept means it was accepted by all of these security components. So that's awesome. Let us take a screenshot of both of these actually, because it's fun to have them back to back facing each other. So let's drag that screenshot into our project step-by-step guide. And let us look at the next step. Okay, perfect. And then we are going to answer this question. What are the different parts of a flow log? Oof, good question. Flow logs tell us about... Awesome. Flow logs tell us about... And again, if you're stuck here, you can absolutely check out the annotated version for help. And in this case, flow logs tell us about the source and destination of the network traffic, the amount of data being transferred. There's also, what else? What else has been inside a log? Let's see. Let us see. What else could we really highlight in this answer? Yeah, that's true. I think we can also mention whether the traffic was accepted or rejected. That's awesome. All right. What does your screenshotted flow log tell you? Very good question. So can we apply the dissection that we learned about into a real case scenario? I think we absolutely could do it. We could absolutely crush it. So for example, the flow log I've captured tells us, what does it tell us? So the flow log we've captured tell us all right, the flow log we've captured tells us tells us that traffic went from this IP address 18.237 etc. to, what was the destination address? 10.1.11.0. Sounds very familiar. Okay, cool. Is there some other thing that this flow log tells us that we'd want to include? Hmm. What is the other thing? Shall we also mention that it was accepted? Yeah, I think that could work. Awesome. Yeah, I think let's do that. So we can mention, ooh, we can mention, let's say this at the end. We can also extract that the traffic was accepted by the security groups and network ACLs of my VPC. All right, very, very good. So we're going to click done on that. And then we're about to reach the very, very last part of today's project. Woof! Are you ready to get to the finale? In our finale, we're going to jump into this page called Logs Insights. And then we're going to select this folder here called Queries. And then we're going to click into VPC Flow Logs to select a very, very specific query. Shall we do... Which query shall we do? I think this project might be best for us to just follow what's recommended in the project. I've decided. Let us do top 10 byte transfers by source and destination IP address. Let's click apply. All right, and then let's take a quick pause here. So what we've done just in the last minute is we went to a new page called Logs Insights. And Logs Insights is a very special page inside CloudWatch that's all about analyzing all of these logs and turning them into insightful graphs and charts. Cool. So in our scenario, there's even such thing as queries, and queries is almost like the code form of a filter button in a spreadsheet. You know, in a spreadsheet, if you ever wanted to filter things, you can just use a button that says like filter this, and then you can maybe like even check or uncheck the things that you wanted to include or exclude in a specific thing. It is a little bit more, I would say less buttons and clicksy kind of thing if you're ever using the terminal, because you can absolutely use these queries in your terminal so that you can almost like apply filters without needing to use buttons and clicks. Cool. Awesome. So once that's done, we're gonna try save this query. Oh, instead of saving, actually, I just realized it chose the wrong thing. We are going to... Oh, I noticed that this page looks a little cluttered right now, so let us make this a little bit easier to read. I hope that is still okay for you to read on your end. Let me know if not though. And then we're going to go back to just making sure on the VPC flow logs and top 10 byte transfers that this is being transferred. Okay, cool. And then once it's done, okay, we're going to click on Run Query. A log group must be selected. It absolutely must be. Let us select our VPC flow logs log group at the top. Oop. And then let us run the query right away. Whoa, would you look at this? So we get a bunch of results after running this query. And interesting stuff, isn't it? So what are these query results telling me? Out of all the things that flow logs has captured, here are the 10 pairs of source and destination IP addresses that have transferred the most amount of data between them. So interesting. As you might imagine, this is just such a good tool for you to investigate any heavy traffic flows, because now the top result absolutely will be a result of the top result will absolutely have the highest amount of bytes transferred, the highest amount of potential holding up of a network, because there's a lot of data being transferred through. So there are a lot of considerations there. But in the meantime, please note also that the bar chart at the top is visualization to show you just how many logs in total were captured at specific times of the day. So this is also quite an interesting insight as well. 34 matches to 10:40 a.m. So interesting, isn't it? And to know that we're all in different parts of the world, that makes tracing traffic back extra spicy. Okay. Um, all right. So you could even, as a super extension for yourself, download the dance practice or anything related to, I guess. Oh, I just lost, I think, my internet connection. Oh, sorry. I think I just lost my internet connection there, but that's okay. Um, we shall move on, if that's all good, and just take a screenshot of the query results. So let's take a screenshot of the query results like this. And let us drag that into our step-by-step guide. Perfect. And then let us mention here, what does Logs Insights do? This is the page that we're on. What does it do? So we shall mention Logs Insights, almost missed a character there, is a special tool within Amazon CloudWatch that helps us with analyzing logs and creating visual graphs and charts through queries. Very nice. I ran the query, ... This query analyzes ... That's all right. So let's go and respond to this too. I ran the query. Oof, it's gonna be quite hard. I think what I'll do is I'll actually just copy the name straight from here. So like this. I ran the query, top 10 byte transfers by source and destination IP addresses. This query analyzes the flow logs collected on EC2 instance 1. What else does this do? It will return the top 10 pairs of IP addresses based on the amount of data transferred between them. Well done. Good stuff. All right. So with that done, we'll press done. Nice work. You've just completed today's project. Woo! And you've learned how to monitor traffic within your VPC. All done. High fives all around. And let's wrap up with some final words. What is Amazon VPC? Why is it useful? Amazon VPC. Oh, and a big shout out to everyone in the chat, actually. Nat, perhaps with the ping, try -N4 instead of /N4. Oh, I see. Genius, Joe. Vincenzo, what a bro. Vincenzo, sorry. What a bro says checked. It works for Windows OS, Unix-based OS -C4. Oh. I see. So if it was for a Windows OS, we would have used /N4. But then because our EC2 instance is a Unix-based OS, it uses Amazon Linux. Yep, so that would be a Unix-based OS. We would use -c4 instead. I see, so that's why /n4 didn't work as a command. For anyone that's needing context, I'm reading the live chat right now. That is very interesting. Thank you so much for checking. Agree with Joe. Thank you for checking that out. And Stefan says, hi from Republic of Moldova. Oh, yes. Stefan, welcome back. And it always makes our day. It always makes our day. Thanks for being here. All right, so what is Amazon VPC and why is it useful? Amazon VPC is a foundational AWS service that gives us, that lets us control the underlying network for our resources so that we can control traffic flow, monitor for security, organize our resources, organize our resources. All right, that looks really good. I think we're ready to click done. Oh, actually, no, that was just the first question. We're ready to click next. I meant, how did you use Amazon VPC in today's project? Let us talk about it. In today's project, what did we do? In today's project, we achieved 2 big milestones. That is true. First, what did we do? What was the first milestone we achieved? The first milestone, we learned to troubleshoot VPC peering connectivity issues. Secondly, what else did we learn to do? We learned how to monitor network traffic using VPC flow logs. That was insanely cool. All right, next question. What is one thing you didn't expect in this project? Ooh, a personal question. Ooh, I would love to hear what everyone's responses to that will be. Is there a specific thing you didn't expect that you like to add? You like to share? That would be quite fun to know. What is one thing we could pick? What was one thing that was unexpected? I would say Logs Insights, honestly, was quite a nice surprise at the end. Using queries and looking at the results. That was pretty fun. I would say so. Can we use that? Do you think Logs Queries or Logs Insights you could use? I could be biased because Logs Insight is literally open right in front of me, right in front of us. But I guess that passes. We can use that as our answer. Logs Insights has lots of built-in queries that gives us many options on how we'd like to analyze our network's traffic. Last one. How much time did this project take you? Oh dear, this project took us 2.5 hours to complete, but in brackets, including demo time. Too cool. All right, we'll click done to finish that off. Phew. Now, let us see. We shall delete our resources to really wrap up this project. This is such an important step. I know that sometimes after you finish a whole project, you're even answering the last few questions now. You might be thinking, oh my gosh, more to do. No, why? I think it's totally fair if you feel that way, because I've definitely felt that before. But it is so important to delete your resources so that you don't get charged. Absolutely, the longer you leave a resource running in the background, the more likely you are going to, I would say, the more likely you are going to get charged by AWS. So let us make sure we don't get charged by deleting everything that we've created today. Now, before we go into all of the steps, a great idea is to challenge yourself on whether you can delete all of the resources on your own without needing any guidance. And the reason why this is a very helpful idea is because in the real world, or when you're doing a personal project, there probably isn't a step-by-step guide telling you exactly which console to visit and how to delete the service. So it becomes a real skill to be able to track all of the resources that you've created by yourself, and then being able to delete those resources in a very efficient way as well. In the meantime, you're more than welcome to pause this video, or you can stop the step-by-step guide right here so you don't see any of the steps. But if you'd like to do this with someone else, absolutely you're welcome to. So we can hang out together and continue with deleting everything. Okay, so I'm going to challenge myself by not looking at any of the steps below. So we're going to start by trying to delete maybe the log groups. So let us head to our log groups. Let us select the log group and let us, under actions, delete it. I think that should be all good. Okay, done and dusted. Next, shall we terminate our instances? I think we can say goodbye to them now. So let's click on instance state and let's terminate the instance. Very nice, terminated. Very cool. What else was there? There was also the IAM role that we created. So that could absolutely be removed as well. Delete that. Put in the name field. Delete that. And then let's visit the policies page as well, so we can remove the policy. Very nice. Let's select the policy and let us select delete. Very nice. Awesome. That's all deleted now. Is there anything else that we're missing? If you're... Ooh, there is one thing. There is the Your VPCs page and the VPCs themselves. They probably need to be removed as well. So we can't delete the VPC yet because there is at least a peering connection related to it. Oh, I see. A peering connection, absolutely. Let's click on that peering connection link. Ooh. And let us delete this peering connection. Awesome. Now that it's deleted, okay, and when you delete it, make sure that we're just deleting the related route table entries so that our route tables are nice and fresh. And let us type delete in the field to send it off. Very nice. So we've deleted the peering connection. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to try delete that VPC one more time. So we're going to select next week 1 VPC, and then we're going to try to delete the VPC. Nice, it's working now. So we're going to type delete in the field to delete it. Same with the other VPC. Absolutely, they should get the exact same treatment, of course. So let us make sure that we are also typing delete here, and then this is all very, very exciting. Okay, cool. Let us just double check, have we deleted everything? The CloudWatch log group, tick. EC2 instances, terminated. VPC peering connection, out the window. Delete your VPCs, washed away. Is there anything else? There's also the CloudWatch IAM role and policy. Been there, done that. We have done that all already. Perfect. We have completed today's project and deleted everything. So congratulations, and don't forget to share your project. How you can do that is just by scrolling all the way to the bottom. All right. Oh, and you'll see that there are still some tasks complete if the documentation isn't if you haven't finished all of the tasks, if there's still one task that's not not green, it is still maybe like slightly grayish or it's white, absolutely we should review it and answer that question so we can unlock this button and unlock the opportunity to why are you heading up? Maybe the opportunity to finish the documentation and maybe even post it as well. All right, so let us search up tasks to complete. Where do we still have tasks to complete? Oh, I shouldn't be searching up tasks to complete. I should be searching up return to later. Aha! We have a few things. Oh dear, I must have scrolled past the whole thing. Take a screenshot of your created flow log. No! We've deleted the flow log! No! We've deleted the VPC too. No! Oh no! We've already deleted the flow log, but that is okay. I think to make up for it, I shall take a screenshot of this flow log panel. Okay. Oh, it should be under subnets, but it's probably gone now. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's already gone now. It's not here anymore. That's okay. Shall we just see if we can do like a placeholder image or something? Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do a placeholder image for it. So let us enter a name for our flow log. I think we named it, was it Nextwork VPC flow log? Oh my goodness. Where did it go? No, where did it go? Oh, that was the policy that we created. Oh yeah, let's use this. Let's jump up. And oh, where was the step for the flow log? Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Okay, we found it. Yes, it is just called Nextwork VPC flow log. And then it had the maximum aggregation interval of 1 minute, send it to CloudWatch logs. Okay, I'll take a screenshot of something that looks just like this. So I have a placeholder image to send. But yes, man, I can't believe I missed that entire thing. Apologies, everyone. You must have been so confused when you see that I just scrolled past it. Alright, next, what is a flow log? So, flow logs are logs designed specifically for recording network traffic. They are used in Amazon VPC to track inbound and outbound traffic related to our VPC ones. Public subnet. Nice. Done. Whew. One more, I remember. There's still one more that's returned to later, and we can just click done for that right away. Phew. Amazing. Do you see how the buttons turn blue to mission accomplished? Let's accomplish this mission today and see what happens on when we click on that share on LinkedIn button. Fancy. Would you look at that? There's already a pre-filled LinkedIn post with some suggestions on how you can post about this project experience. And then you can download your documentation, which downloads automatically as a PDF. And this documentation looks stunning, by the way. Look at the amazing work you've written that we've had the pleasure of putting together for you in this documentation over here. Wow, that looks amazing. It just combines all of the screenshots you've taken, all of the prompts that you've answered. It all comes together into a very informative documentation. And this is absolutely one of the most comprehensive ones that we've ever created. And yes, to post about this, select this X button at the bottom, and then we're going to click on that plus button here, and then click on add a document, and then we're going to choose a file. The file that we're going to choose is going to be, you guessed it, it is the documentation that you've downloaded. So VPC monitoring can be your title, and you can add a mention of your name, for example. We can mention next work like this. Okay, when that's done, click done, and then click that beautiful post button. Phew. Off it goes into the world once you post it off. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Once you've shared it, I think you would have achieved an amazing milestone with completing a project and being able to share about it with the world. Okay, but now that we're wrapping up for today, let us finish on what we've learned. That was networking project 7 in the entire series. Done! Congratulations to you. Today you've learned how to create 2 VPCs with public subnets and a peering connection. You've learned how to set up VPC flow logs, and VPC flow logs are used to monitor network traffic. And then you've learned how to analyze the network traffic or the flow logs. You learn how to analyze that using log insights. We used a query to create that very insightful table and also that chart. So that was very fun. And it's just wild that all of these learnings are packed in one single project. Great work for today. Can't wait to see you in the next one. And it is going to be a ride for the next one because we'll be doing another completely new skill. Wow, thank you so much to everyone in the chat. This is so cool. This is so cool. Thank you so much to everyone. Abdurrahman saying, what an interesting project. Great work, Natasha. Wow, Gideon saying, love from Kenya. Sending some love back. Everyone's saying sad when we picked up that we've already deleted the flow logs. Vincenzo saying, very proud to be part of this community. Amazing networking projects and fantastic tutors. Stop it. Thank you so much. It is awesome. It's awesome to be here. It's awesome to be in this community. We're absolutely just learning and improving every single project. Yes, Joseph's perfect. No one will know the difference with that sneaky flow logs picture I sent up. Vamsi says, can't wait for the next one. Let's go, Vamsi. You're gonna love the next one, Vamsi. I hope. We're gonna be doing some really cool stuff. Very fun. Very fun. All right. Well, it looks like we've had an amazing project session today. It is, again, just so wild that we can do so much learning in a single session. Good on you for making it this far. We definitely know that each of these project live demos can be hours and hours of time, but absolutely it is worthwhile when you just reflect on everything that you've learned. So great work. We'll see you in the next project. We'll stay in touch over the community in the meantime. And if you have any questions, ask the community. you know, ask the I Have a Question channel in the community. We are all over that place. A shout out to all of our top community members for always being so active and encouraging people to post. Um, and yeah, every post in that community makes the community a better place, makes learning a better experience. So we hope to see you there. All right. Bye bye, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for today. Bye bye. See ya.